Big goals come with a lot to do. So, how do we, as ambitious entrepreneurs, juggle it all as we're trying to meet those goals, as we're navigating the ups and downs that inevitably come our way? Well, I have John here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, why this story that sounds really familiar to all of us matters to him, and why his story matters to you. John, welcome to the show. Untie my
Thanks for
tongue.
having me. I do that sometimes as well. So
Don't
I
we
want
all?
to say thank you for having me on the show today. I'm super excited about this. I mean, just a little bit about me is that I'm a CEO of Papilloni Capital. I have my mortgage and real estate license, as well as I'm a fellow podcast host. And obviously, the podcasting is where the media company comes in. I'm excited. Looking forward to the future. I think there's plenty of opportunities ahead, and I think that everyone has plenty of opportunities now because even though we're in a downturn economy, that means that all the options are available now. Where so it's not as competitive because a lot of people retreat. So that gives us opportunities to grow.
That is actually a really great, just kind of synopsis of why this conversation matters. In situations like this, we get a lot of people who are like, I'm going to tell you, over the last 4 days, I have had conversations where, and I'm not joking, at least 75% of them have said, "Oh, but we're in a recession." So, and it's almost like they're closing these doors.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
closing all of the doors before we even get there. And I say, "Hey, so, and let's look for opportunities." And I think this is really key because you've been and are in so many entrepreneurial roles that could be impacted by these twists and turns in the economy, and yet you keep your eye on the prize. You keep your eyes looking for opportunity.
yeah, absolutely.
So
I
is
agree
that,
with that.
like, if we're gonna say turn this into a question, is that like your secret sauce to how you've been able to do all these things, or would you add to that?
Well, I'm not sure that's the secret sauce as much as the fact that it's something that I've always been in that abundance mindset. Like I'm going to use the real estate business right now because that's something everyone can relate to anywhere in the world because every market is roughly the same at this point, which is with high interest rates. The demand has dropped. The sellers are scared. Homeowners are worried, and what ends up happening is that people are in that scarcity mindset. Now, if you're able to look at beyond that and come up with strategies, you can actually find that opportunity and available opportunity. Like right now is the time for insulting offers because people are wanting to get out there and they need to get out there. So that's the opportunity for you to get that deal. As long as you are strategic about it, you're going to be able to find that finance in a way that you can afford it and be able to take on that extra. So in a way, it'll be kind of a tight grip now, and then when things turn around and grow, that's when you'll prosper. So you just sort of get into that battlefield, and as long as you like, look again as an agent. We used to have 122,000 transactions a couple of years ago when were and its peak. Now this year we're at 58,900 as of the beginning of this month.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means there's still 58,900 transaction. It doesn't mean that there's no business out there. It's just a matter of whether or not they use me. That's what it comes down to. And
Right.
that's why it's important to keep the charge ahead more now than it was before. Because before, there was so many transactions that it was natural. You didn't have to do very much. Where today, you got to be on the forefront.
So you just have to be prepared to work for it, which, I mean,
Correct.
this is something that I think we can absolutely agree on. It's like, when people enter into entrepreneurship, and really want to make it big, we've got these big goals, and it could be big goals for money, it could be big goals for impact, it could be big goals for just living the life of your dream on your own terms, and oftentimes it's actually a combination of the three. Um, and we perceive this as being, well, it's going to be the life of luxury. And this is what's marketed to us. And that's what's actually a really important thing about what we're doing here and talking about Marketing Rebels. That's what's marketed to us. But what the reality is that your perception of how you navigate that space will create your life of luxury, will create your ability to navigate, to actually do the things that are necessary, which sometimes comes with a lot of elbow grease.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that. And again, it comes down to, like, you can have anything you want in life, right? Like, it's like, prime example. Look at us growing up. Like, look at parents. What do they always tell their children? You can be anything you want when you grow up. Well, the truth of the matter is, a 6 year old never considered that there was no possibility. So all you did is just put the limitation in their head. So, and that being said, if we remember what it was like when we were naive and all the stuff that we thought we can do, and bring that to today, the possibilities are endless. I mean, let's be honest. We have artificial intelligence. It's been around since the 60s or 70s. And we're only realizing it now because now there's something that interacts with us. But that wasn't here before. So if we lived by limitations, stuff like that would never develop because we would think that it's impossible and nobody would ever try. We got vaccines, we got cures to things that we thought were the end of us. So the point is, that's the list of possibilities. So if they can have life altering changes, why can't, in terms of health, why can't we have life altering changes in terms of business and what we do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when we're looking at our big goals and when we see that laundry list of things that, oh man, I've got to do all these things I want to do, I feel like you're, when, I'm going to even go ahead and share it. Look, we're going to go back to this. You've got 6 things listed. 5 things listed here as your entrepreneurial endeavors. And I'm sure that doesn't cover everything that you do. I'm 100% positive about that. And the prospect of juggling all those things can seem really daunting. And a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, you're throwing up and you're like, okay, but I need to market my business and I need to produce my business and I need to manage the back end and I need to serve my clients and the list keeps going and you think, how in the world am I going to juggle this? And what we're showing here is it's really just that prospect of opening up the possibilities of the future and being
Right,
willing to work for it.
right. You said a key thing there, the word I, right? And that's the fundamental problem people have in their mindset. They use the word I. They like I represents that you're the only person in the group. You're the only person that's available. That, like, everything rests on your shoulder. When the reality is, you choose that life. Your objective should be to outgrow yourself to the point that you build a team, you grow a team. And it doesn't necessarily mean you need employees, because these days, with all the options out there, you can have virtual assistants, you can have contract workers. They're still members of your team because they're people working together to get your outcome there. Now you're trading some money for your results. Now, that may seem daunting and everyone's scared at the beginning because, oh my God, I barely have the budget for myself. How am I going to do that? But you know what? The reality of it is, that's your mindset problem, because you can't afford not to. Because the more you think small, the more you remain small, the more you have that worry. It doesn't change. It's just the only thing the only difference between a millionaire and a person who makes 6 figures or 5 figures is the size of the problems and the available resolutions. If you have 6 figures a year, you have a certain set of resolutions. If you have 7 figures a year, you have another set of resolutions. So why not remember that why you got into the business and the impact you can make, and work on the long term instead of focusing on just today?
This is a I don't know if it's a proverb or whatever in my house, mantra, if you would. I always say, stay solution focused. If we're going to just sit here, okay, this problem exists, sure, awesome, but that's just simply a fact. There's nothing attached to that. But if we stay solution focused, regardless of the problem, regardless of whether it's this problem, or this problem, if we stay solution focused, we're able to move forward, which is actually a really interesting perspective on every single thing in life and business. And one thing that kind of can be tricky, because you're talking about mindset, not everybody has been able to be exposed to the resources necessary to shift that mindset. I would say that you and I are very privileged in that fact, in that we're able to actually tap into that space of the way of thinking.
This is my first
And
disagreement with you, because it's not that they don't have the resource, they're not resourceful. What
all right.
happens is, we tend to listen to the voices in our head and we allow that to defeat us.
Mm-hmm. And
And
you're
we
not,
all have been
yeah.
through it. Doesn't matter. Like, even us at some point in our time have allowed that voice to defeat us. The only difference is we kept pursuing it.
I don't disagree with you, and I don't fully agree. And here's why. And I just want to just disclaimer for everybody. John and I have a lot of disagreements, and it's fabulous. It's probably one of the best things about our conversations, in my humble opinion. Um, so so I don't want to get too political, so let's not actually do the political
No,
thing,
let's
but
not.
just in theory, in theory, not it's not in theory, in practice, like we as a community, as a global community, well, and I'm not okay. I'm backtracking again. I only have lived experience in the Western world, so I can't say global. But here in the Western world, I feel like a lot of people are trained to not think critically, to not be resourceful, and we have a good chunk of people like yourself and myself, many entrepreneurs in particular, who who will just be divergent and do that and just be
Yep.
resourceful anyways, despite the fact that our systems have tried to beat it out of us. So that's where I both agree. Yes, you need to be resourceful. And if you're not, sucks to suck. But we are being trained to not. We're being
See,
trained to be stupid.
well, of course.
Oh,
See,
sorry.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I actually agree with you on that. I agree that our training. Look, our school education system was built on the old 1970 industrial resolution of go to school, get a good education, get to the factory. Now, if you don't have the education,
Goes electric.
you're in the line, right? And if
Yeah.
you got the education, you're running the line, and the other people are in the line. But it's all formed around the what we call the drone living. You
Yeah.
know, you don't have to think, you don't have to come up with solutions. Just go there, follow the instructions one by one in the order that was given, and just keep following and repeat and repeat and repeat, and products are being made and being shipped out. The problem is in the United States and even in Canada, where I am, that the majority of the factories are no longer here. That's long gone. But we still have that mentality. We have technology that has pretty much replaced half the crap that that's there for us to be what I call droning, but yet we're still trying to drone, and we want to be paid very well to drone. When we have robots doing it cents on the dollars, where when we want to get paid high value, we want to get
Yeah.
paid for a low value jobs with high value dollars. And again, it goes back to our training. That is true, and that's why I said we have to purposely try to defeat that. I'm not saying it's easy. It's
Yeah.
never easy. And that's why I said even the successful people once upon a time in their lives were defeated.
Hmm.
It's just at some point in time you reach that bottom where you're saying, I'm tired of this. Enough is enough. And then you start to look outwards. Some people find it, some people never do. And that's where we all differ.
And how would you, if you were to be exposed to a good number of people who were struggling in this space, who are like, I am juggling everything. I kind of have an idea that this isn't where I want to be. I'm really being caught up in the ebb and flow of business. The dry spells are kicking my butt, and then the flooding spells are too much for me to handle because I don't know how to manage everything, and I'm not very resourceful because I really haven't been trained to be, and I'm trying to learn how. And that space, I know many of us know that space, and because it's cyclical, we get into that space and we either break through or we don't. But when you're in that space of overwhelm, when you're stuck, what would you say to these people to really empower them and encourage them to take to I don't know if it's keep going, or what would help them in that space?
Well, one of the things that problem people have is everyone tries to figure out how to do something. And I think the problem there is in itself. I don't think why you're doing something is as important as how you're doing it, and I don't think how is as important as who you're doing it with. We're all trying to do everything ourselves, and reality is, name one massive business that built this business by themselves with just the founder and nobody else. And I'm willing to challenge anybody to come up with one business where the guy became a billionaire by himself with no employees, no help, no mentorship, nada. Just woke up and did the work by himself. I don't think anybody can. The faster we realize that who we surround ourselves with, who we have mentor us, who we work with, who we partner with, who we collaborate with, is the fundamental start, then the rest comes into play. Because now, if you know who you're collaborating with, you develop the proper why, because that's why you're collaborating with them. And now you're collaborating with someone, you got your why, and now you two can work together on how to do it. And it just builds up and builds up from there. Now, at the end of the day, it's slow, consistent work each single day with a 1% improvement each day, and it constantly grows. Where everyone wants to be what I call Instagram,
Mm.
instant gratification, where they want to do something. Well, I did this for 90 days and it doesn't work. Okay. What have you done in 90 days? Have you been consistent? Were there days that you missed something? If you're doing the same thing over and over and over, have you tried to alter anything? Have you changed anything? Have you tried a different approach? Who did you talk to in those 90 days? What did you discover? What successes did you find? Because even failures have some sort of resemblance of success in there. Because not there's never one whole project where it was all a failure. It's usually just a portion of it. And unfortunately, the portion that was the failure ends up being the one that beats you down. But the point is, there were some things that led you to believe that it was working, which means that was the successful part. So there's a
Yeah.
learning lesson there. Sometimes it's a matter of taking the 90 days and saying, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. Why didn't this work? And if it's something that's irreparable, drop that section and continue with what was working and replace that with something else. Sooner or later, just by aligning, your stars will align by that transformation. And then eventually you'll have that winning formula that seems to work. And don't keep trying to change it when you have something that's working. Pour gasoline on it. If you do just say $100 of Facebook ads, nothing works, but you do $100 of Instagram ads, and now you got 2 calls, try LinkedIn. If you got 3 calls from LinkedIn, which one's working better? LinkedIn. So don't go and spend $200 on Facebook. Now, in this case, I would say, maybe put 150 into Instagram and put 200 into LinkedIn, because it's giving you more, because you're not dropping the Instagram one because it gave you 2 leads,
Hmm.
where LinkedIn gave you 3. You're just going to pour more gasoline on the LinkedIn because it's working better. Try something. Nothing goes wrong. I mean, nothing can go right if you don't try. Nothing go wrong if you don't try, but you can definitely miss out.
I feel like I'm talking to my mirror and I love it. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, man. Yeah, let's go. It's exactly it though. It's true. And it's crazy. So in summary, I'm just going to correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking about you need a team. That doesn't necessarily mean like a paid outsourced team, but you need a community to
A
help you
community,
succeed.
yes.
You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, grab your community, right? And then, of course, with regards to being an entrepreneur, you're going to want to have the team, because you will eventually need to outsource if you don't want to be the bottleneck to your own success. So that's number one that I got from you. The other thing is consistency. You need to
100%.
be consistent. And the sister to consistency is that dreaded word, tracking. You need to actually keep track of what you're doing. And it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not glamorous. You're not,
No.
like, it's literally tally, 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 tally. Maybe you're adding like some details to make sure that you have an understanding of where you're at in that space. So it's not glamorous, but it's necessary.
Yes.
Like the building blocks, you want to succeed, you want to push through, you want to actually get past all that head junk that's keeping you where you're at under that glass ceiling. You need a community, you need consistency that's measurable.
Yes, and you have to be self-aware on top of that, because you have to know what's working for you, what's not. And if you're not self-aware, and if you're doing something that you absolutely hate, you're doing it day in, day out,
Hmm.
you're going to want to give up just because you hate it, regardless of whether it's working. So once you're self-aware to know the tasks you don't like, the tasks that you're not good at, and you're aware of what you're really good at, what you can do is find a way to delegate the tasks you hate to someone who loves it, and then you can focus more on the stuff you do love.
Absolutely. And if you're thinking, so there are two kind of thoughts that came to me while you were saying that. And um, the first is something that I talk to my clients about a lot, is this idea that, okay, so you're doing these two things. This thing is working on paper, and this thing is working on paper. But this thing you don't like at all, and this thing you do, then just do the thing you like. Now, it gets complicated when the thing you like to do isn't working. But that doesn't mean you can't do the thing you like to do. It just means that we need to explore different avenues within that house, because I still would prefer you not to do the thing you hate, even if it's technically working, because you will burn out. But like you said, that's where we outsource. And when you talk about that, I think if you're thinking to yourself, oh, if I don't like this, nobody's going to like it. Wrong. Like just 100% wrong. I could not, I can't tell you how much I dislike like data entry. I find it draining. It's tedious, and I just can't. I look at it and I can't. So I thought at the beginning, this was like, I gotta say, like 5 to 7 years ago, I thought nobody's gonna like to do this. Is boring. I think it's boring. When I posted about this, I had at least 15 people be like, I love data entry. Pardon you. Let's go. And I got them on board, and the other people are data entrying on my behalf. And awesome. I love that, because then I can come here and I can talk to you. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, the other advice I would give is to be careful what advice you take from, because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of gurus out there that have no track record. So if you're taking advice, ask the person's track record, right? Like, dig in, figure it out. If somebody has real success behind them and has a true lesson to be learned, they will have a story. They will have a story to share, not shell, a story to share, and will be able to show you the track record of how it worked or didn't work for them and how they came up with that lesson.
Mm, that's
You
right.
know,
And to add to that, and there should be a how it didn't work. If all you're hearing is how it worked and it worked and it worked, and I've had zero troubles, I'm going to argue that's highlight marketing. That's just them marketing themselves to you, what they want you to hear. And that is a red flag. So be cautious about that, because everybody, like you say, has a story, and there has to be ups and downs. We don't live in a fairy tale. And even in fairy tales, there are ups and downs. So let's be real. And with that,
absolutely.
I'm going to invite you, John, to share. That was already a golden nugget. And I very seriously considered highlighting you and being like, there's your gold nugget, guys, because you want to write that down and live by it. But I'm going to invite you to share some final thoughts about what we talked about today. And then maybe we can have another conversation another day about, who knows, peanut butter.
Absolutely.
So
Most definitely.
I'll let you have have the stage.
Absolutely. Now, my last golden nugget is going to be basically, find your passion, find what you love, but realize that not everything that you do about that, like prime example, if you like skiing, you can go and ski. Not every part of skiing you're going to like. You may not like climbing the mountain. You may not like the administration side of it, and that's okay. Just realize that if you're doing your passion and you're trying to get out there, there's going to be parts of the business you hate. Now, you don't want to constantly focus on the part that you hate, and you also do not want to constantly ignore the parts that you hate. So what happens is find some sort of system, and getting a system is key. I don't want you to go out there, start a business, and decide you're going to develop a system once you're messy, because you're going to start off messy. Get a CRM or some form of system put in from day one, because this way you can realize the parts that you hate and learn what to delegate right away. Build your income. You don't have to do it with debt, but build your income. And once you do your income, use 30% to go of your income to build your business and to grow your business. And with that 30%, that's what you can use to start delegating the work out and get the crap you hate off your plate.
Perfect, perfect. And where can everybody find you, John? Because I know that you're going to have some people reaching out soon.
Absolutely. You can find all my social profiles and pretty much any way to reach me through my website at johnpapaloni.tv. That's JOHNPAPALONI.tv.
And you can find that in the show notes as well, everybody. So that was amazing. And we are definitely going to have more conversations, John. With that, I want to invite you all to reach out to John and make sure that you're following and subscribing so you can catch our next conversations, because there's more to come. I usually have about 2 every week. So you're going to want to get that notification that says, hey, you can learn something today from these amazing experts. With that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will chat soon.